Welcome everybody to our latest edition of Meet an Ambassador Monday. We have one of our great ambassadors here. She's been with us for quite a while and unfortunately leaving us at the end of this semester, but I'll let Maiken go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Maiken. I'm originally from a town called Stavanger in Norway, and I'm a double major in social studies, education, and political science. So this year I'm student teaching at a local high school.
Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. Obviously, it's been a long journey started here. So I always like to start out. How did you learn about lacrosse? What made you decide to come here? Obviously, coming all the way from Norway.
I came the first time to the lacrosse area in 2013. I did a 4-H exchange. So I lived with a host family for a month over the summer, just outside of lacrosse. So that's sort of how I knew the area. I was visiting a few times, and then eventually I decided I wanted to go here for college after a little gap year and some fun stuff, just not really doing school. I just wanted to get away from home for a little bit, and lacrosse was already my home away from home. So my host mom took me to tour this area and some other ones as well. So I really just fell in love with UWL, and here I am, I guess. And a year later, I was a student.
But that's awesome because most students don't get that opportunity, right? Most students, either if I'm meeting them on the road or they're working with our Asian partners, they don't really have an opportunity to come to the U.S. beforehand for going through that process. So maybe it was a bit different from you when you finally did arrive at UWL. But maybe I should say when you first got to the U.S., what were some of those expectations that you had?
To
Obviously,
UWL?
well, not UWL per se, but yeah, maybe like going to college in the US and things like that. I know a lot of students, they see stuff on movies and TV
Yeah.
and things like that. So what were your expectations and how were those kind of different from the reality and maybe your experiences in Norway?
Yeah, so I mean, I can't really talk for experiences with like college in Norway because I never really went to university there. But I think a lot of us have those like movie expectancies, and you're expecting like a few different things. A lot of things have just been knocked down as I've been a student here and visited different schools and stuff through my program. But I used to be a Vanguard, which is a tour guide on campus. So I used to tell a lot of the families that like I was shocked that there wasn't any round cafeteria tables where people would all of a sudden stick to the status quo and stuff like that. So it was just like a lot of the things that you're just confused about. Like hardly no one is wearing their like sport jerseys in school, not even for like high school. There's no cheerleaders walking around in their uniform. So like just like these like picture things that movie and Hollywood movies will like put into your head, like this is how it is, because that's how it is in all of the movies and all of the TV shows, and it's just not like that. I think the biggest thing for college too has been like you have so many different classes with different people. You don't really have classes with the same people, whereas in like my entire schooling in Norway, you, at least for where I was from, you were with the same group every year, sort of like you had the same students and the teachers would sort of come to you and you just had one classroom. Whereas now, especially in college and in high school too, like we have different students in there and you have to go to the different classrooms for the teacher. So even just like knowing where you're going, like it's going to take you a week or two to even like get that into your head.
Yeah, I know, right? I think students come typically about a week before the semester starts for orientation. And that's the perfect time to kind of just walk around the campus and figure things out.
Yeah.
That's super important for students. And obviously, I think one thing that is different between a lot of international students and their experiences here is the idea of general education and the fact that you won't be just taking courses in your specific major. You'll be taking courses in a wide variety of areas. Well, you meet students from all over the campus in a wide variety of majors and things like that.
Yeah.
So as we talk more about courses, do you have a favorite class or a favorite few classes or professors?
Ooh. I really liked my sociology classes. with one of my professors. Now I totally blanked on her name as you asked me that. But I've had her I had 2 sociology classes and I loved both of them, but I think it's because I really liked my professor. But they were really fun. And then I had sociology of gender and marriage and family. So those 2 classes were really fun. And then honestly, any of my poli-sci classes, because it's been really fun just discussing things. I'm an older sibling out of a few younger siblings. I know how to discuss things. So that's been really fun also learning that way, which has also been helpful now because now I'm teaching government to 11th and 12th graders at a high school. I really liked American legal system with Dr. Similak. I think that's also because he was pretty awesome. So I think mostly the professors make the course and not the course the professor almost. I think it's however you do all of that. Also, any of my education classes have been pretty cool because we've gotten to work with other students like in middle and high schools for my program. So that's been really interesting. I guess that's just all of my classes.
Yeah, just all of my classes have been my favorite.
I guess not all of them. I did not like getting up for my 7:45 class dance appreciation. Like that was not a fun time. A few of those other ones were just not as fun, but
exactly. If you're a college student, most likely you'll take an early 7:45, 8 a.m. course at some point.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. I like already tried dance appreciation one time. And after like a week, I was like, I'll take this later. And I just dropped it. And then I ended up having to take it again with the same professor. And she's like, weren't you already in here like a year ago? And I was like, yeah, I've matured enough to get up at 7:45 now.
You didn't use the evil twin?
No, I didn't. I just said that I've matured more now, so I'm more ready for those early classes.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like you had some pretty amazing classes. One thing that's also different, you'll see a lot of students is they'll come in to university, they'll start a certain major, and after taking so many different cool courses, either they'll add in a minor or another major, or even switch altogether. When you came in, did you know that I think student teaching is what I want to do? Is that something you started with, or did you progress?
Well, I started with education.
Okay.
So I started with education, but I started with a double major in social studies and history. Because with my specific social studies major, you need a second major as well to sort of complicate, no, what's the word I'm looking for? To like sort of tie them together. So you need to take 2 majors at the same time. Because I was Broadfield Studies A, or Broadfield A, social studies. So I needed a second major, which had to be either like econ or economics, history, social studies, sociology, psychology, or political science. I think those are the ones, to sort of build up your degree, I guess. So I started with history, and then after like a year, I changed to poli-sci because I was talking to one of the other Vanguard, so one of the other tour guides, and he said that he did that and that it was fun. And I wasn't really that set on history anyway. That's just like what I started with. So I decided to change, and I'm really glad I did now. But then at some point in there, I like added teaching English to speakers of other languages as a minor. But then I took that away again without even starting it. So I've changed it a few times, but it's always been on like that same education wave. I've been riding that wave. It's just been a little changes in the second major and adding a minor and removing the minor, and
same trajectory, just a little bit different flow as you've gone through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually, students may hear that and they think, wow, I can't believe that, but that's actually pretty typical for a lot of college students. You'll be surprised.
It's very typical. I don't know if I know anyone who hasn't changed their major.
Or at some point, or tweaked it a little bit, or said like added something, subtracted something. I know I did. Chemistry kicked my butt when I was in undergrad. So I
Oh,
changed from biological sciences to international affairs, right? But a
yeah,
whole different spectrum.
I think my biggest mistake was like sophomore year. I did all the science classes in one semester and I was just struggling. I had like biology and earth sciences and like a bunch of all of these like really hard classes in one semester. And I was just like, looking back now, I'm like, why did I do that to myself?
Mhm. Yep. And I think that's one thing that, you know, this could even be helpful for some students who may think, okay, I'm gonna try and just get done all of these classes, go ahead, get them out the way. And sometimes it's best to space them out a little bit, as your advisors may even tell you as well.
Yeah.
So you talked about your student teaching now. Obviously, you've been doing that this whole semester.
Mhm.
It hasn't been the whole year or just the semester?
So spring 2020, I started field one, which was at a local middle school.
Okay.
And then fall 22, 2020, 22, we're not even there. Fall 2020, I was at a high school and I was actually at the same high school I'm at now with the same teacher, which doesn't happen for everyone. Like a lot of people actually will change until their student teaching or not have field two and student teaching be the same thing, but some will. And I was lucky enough that I did. So I've been at the same school I'm at now since September 2020, and I'm staying there until they graduate in June. So some of the students I've actually been with since September, which is really fun because I've seen the same faces and I know them pretty well by now. We have a new term starting tomorrow, actually, and I'm now getting back some of the students that we had in another class in the fall, which I'll now teach more because for field two, I was more observing and now I'm more the teacher. So that's going to be very fun to see some of those students again too. Like I feel like I belong there almost.
That's awesome. So you already get to mold young minds, as we say, as they get ready for their college journey potentially as
Yeah, I
well.
do.
Hopefully, some of them solidifying wanting to go into poli-sci because of your teaching skills, right?
Right. Yes.
So what has been
I'm pulling in like Carrie Underwood quotes and stuff in there. So I'm really hoping. I was told that I never saw you as one of us until I used what was the word? I said capiche, like capiche kids, and they're like, oh, she said capiche, she's young like us. And I'm like, I'm not that much older than you.
That's so funny. I feel like capiche is I mean, I speak Italian, so like capiche is obviously an Italian word, but I feel like it's used more by an older generation anyway. You would have said something like dope or lit or something like that, then
Yeah.
maybe.
And I'm just like, I was using this very normal word, and they're like, oh, she's our age. And I was like, I'm not your age, but I'm not that far off. Like, I'm young, guys. Be nice.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. So what has been the best part and the probably the worst part? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
For
Student
just
teaching.
anything,
Student teaching.
student teaching.
Mhm.
Oh, I think the best part has been being like close to students and getting to actually work with what I'm studying to become. Like that's been a really great experience. And I know that a lot of countries don't do that, at least not to this extent, where you literally follow a teacher for technically 3 semesters. Like you get to go to different schools and at different levels, and like see different teachers in action, which has been awesome. And you learn a lot and you have great people around you, like your professor, like university supervisor that you get from UWL will like be there to support you. Your cooperating teacher that you're teaching with on a daily basis is there to support you. Like your students are most likely supportive. Mine are. So like just having all of those people around you that want you to succeed and that will come in and do greater things just because like to help you with your education has been really awesome. On the downside, I think like the one thing I'm missing the most now during student teaching is just like interactions with other college students, because we don't have any. I mean, we have one class, but we only meet like at night on Thursdays, like once a month. So like just getting that student to student interaction with others that's going through the same thing as you are. Cause like now I'm almost jealous at other people that are having classes, even if it's like online and they don't get to go to school the same way because of the pandemic and stuff, but just getting to have that where you see people more your age, I guess, throughout the day. Cause we don't have, I mean, I don't have that at all really where I see anyone. So that's been probably the biggest downside this year, at least.
Yeah, that's a great insight. You know, you're getting obviously great experience, especially that's going to help in your career
Mhm.
aspirations. But obviously, you know, you've been here for, you know,
4 years,
years,
yeah.
4 years, right? Um, and you've had tons of experience with students and people within your own major, but you're not even getting to see them for your last semester here, right?
Yeah.
Can definitely be tough.
It's gonna be really weird to like graduate because like sure I know of a lot of them like
Mhm.
and stuff like that, but we just don't have the same, I guess,
Mhm.
connecting as others would because we don't really see each other
That
at
makes sense.
all.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be tough.
Yeah.
Hopefully, um, you know, graduation will be still a great time, a great celebration for you all, and I know you'll be here
I'll be here.
for that. So that's always a great opportunity for students to just kind of share in the memories and experiences that they had while they were here, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about things you do on campus. Obviously, this year has been different for everyone since the pandemic and stuff. But let's maybe say pre-COVID. What were some of the things you were doing on campus, getting involved in, fun things you like to do to really get the most out of your experience here?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I was a tour guide. I think that's been the biggest thing that I've really gotten involved in on campus. Um, I gave tours for just over 2 years, I think, which was a lot of fun, a ton of fun. I got to meet a ton of potential students and help them decide where to go to college. Like, sure, some, like, not all of them wanted to go to UWL, but that wasn't really our goal. Our goal was to show our campus, and you never obviously want someone to come to UWL because they feel like they have to. Like, we got to show them what we have and point out some things that we have that they might not see other places. Tailor the tour a little to the majors that you had on your tours. Like,
Mhm.
if you have a lot of science students on your tour, you obviously show our great new building for the science, like the Prairie Spring Science Center, and spend some extra time in there and maybe not as much time in a different building where they won't really have a lot of classes. So like all of those things and seeing those, I think that was the best part. I also met a ton of awesome people through that organization, and I met you through there probably before even any of this, any of the admissions office staff. So I think that was just the most fun thing I did on campus. I also had a job through the Whitney Center where I was a student manager for the dining services. So that was, I mean, it was a job, it was fun. I really did like seeing people there. And since I was a manager, I got to jump a little bit around all the different areas instead of just being in one place. So that was also a lot of fun. And I did that for a couple years too, which was it's been really fun. I just couldn't do it now that I'm student teaching as much. So I think those two are probably the two things that's taken most of my energy, I guess, other than classes.
Mhm. Well, that's awesome. It sounds like you've had some great experience with both of those, and obviously, like those translate too to great skills that you can take within your career. Obviously, from leadership experience to social skills and presentation, obviously presentation and
Yeah, we've
leadership.
had me and some of the other education majors that were giving tours have literally had like principals from other school districts coming to give tours with or to take tours with their children, and just knowing, like hearing that we are education majors, there you can like sort of notice that they're paying attention to you. And sometimes I've heard after that, like, you're going to be a great teacher because like you have this essence around you where you're talking about things as if you care, even if like sometimes you maybe don't. Like, sure, I don't really care that much about biology, but I still think it's pretty cool that we have cadaver labs in the science center. Like, I didn't know what a cadaver was until I heard we had a cadaver lab, because it's like a word I'd never really heard before. But like, being able to do that, we've had some education majors that's pretty much had like job opportunities and job offers after giving a tour from principals and stuff, and that's been like, oh, you should contact us like when you're done, because we would love to have you on our team, like literally anything like that. So giving tours has gotten a lot of opportunities that way too, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's great. That's something I guess I didn't know, but it makes sense when you say that we do get a lot of, even like route directors and like I said, school district people and other teachers and principals and things like that coming through with their kids and being able to see you up in action, knowing like you have a way of people gravitating towards you, or when you're speaking, people are listening and hold that attention with students.
All the bad dad jokes, literally everything.
So yeah, as we come to kind of in here, got about 5 minutes left here. Two things I want to know is, what were some of your favorite things to do in lacrosse, and combine that with maybe some of your favorite places to eat, because I'm always big on food, and then talk about what are your plans after graduation as well.
Okay, so some of my favorite places, I like being outdoors when the weather's nice. So I really like, what I think one of my biggest things with the Crosse is that we have the river, we have the Mississippi River on one side, and then we have awesome hiking opportunities in the bluffs on the other side. So like, we have the water and the river sort of connected with the marsh and the trails around the marsh where you can go hiking, or I just recently found this great loop, which is sad to find like 2 months before you graduate, but there's this awesome loop that I can like walk, and it's around trafficated area, but like there's no one really around because you're still walking away from people. So like, that's been probably some of my favorite things, just the nature around here. I really like Howie's. You can never go wrong with Howie's. It's also right off of campus, which is awesome. And then my plans after graduation, I'm actually planning on getting my master's. It's a little up in the air exactly what I'm going to study, but I'm hoping to study poli-sci, get a master's in political science, and then go back to teach. Like, I still want to teach. We just need masters to teach back home, so my bachelor isn't really going to do a lot for me in that regard, other than getting me started and giving me a bunch of great opportunities. So that's my goal, getting a master's in either continuing my education and getting that done right away, or doing a 2-year master's in poli-sci and then start teaching after that. So one of those two are my plans, and then we'll see which route I go.
Well, I'm sure you'll do great things, and you're from Norway, but correct me if I'm wrong, that's going to be the university you're looking at is going to be in Sweden, is that correct?
It is, yes. So the university I'm looking at is in Sweden. So I'm actually looking at it with my boyfriend, who's Finnish/Swedish. He's 50-50. So we're sort of going to meet in the middle there. We're compromising on going to Sweden. And then, yeah, we've seen this great university that has both of our master's programs that we want to do. And we're sort of looking for a smaller city instead of a bigger one, because we're not big city people. Lacrosse is huge for me because I grew up in a town with like 8,000 people, and there's 50,000 people living here that's not college students, and then you have 3 colleges on top of that. So this is a really big city for me, but it still has that small town vibe, which I really like. You don't feel like you're in a really big crowded city. So yeah, I think that's just what we're looking at, and we'll see where that takes us.
Yeah, for sure. For all those tuning in that don't know, Maiken's boyfriend is Oliver, one of our other uni buddies, who did a highlight for us a couple of months ago, early in February. So they'll be doing that together, which is awesome. So UWL is known for nothing. We're obviously love doctors here, keeping great relationships together.
We're bringing international students together.
Right, but no, that's amazing, and you're totally spot on. The nature here is amazing. Howie's definitely is a student staple, is a student
Oh,
favorite here.
It's
A lot of
great.
students, when they closed down for COVID, I'm sure a lot of students were pretty
Oh
bummed.
yeah, I'm pretty glad I wasn't here when they closed down. I would have been really sad.
So yeah, and so who knows? Maybe we'll go there for the Unibuddies for our end of the semester dinner this year. We'll see if we can make
That
that
sounds
happen.
like a
That'll be a
great
good
plan.
spot to go, especially because so many of our Unibuddies are graduating this year. So
Yeah.
a nice little last hurrah at such a university staple. But yeah, any last minute advice you would like to provide for students thinking about studying in the U.S., coming to UWL, anything like that?
I think prepare yourself for being far away, and with that, put yourself out there. Because if you're coming for a semester, or if you're coming for 4 years to get your entire degree, or however long that's going to take you to get that degree, if that's 3 years or 6 years, either way, come here with an open mind and try to get involved in campus in one way or another. There are a ton of student or organizations where you can meet people with your same interests. I mean, they have a cheese club. So if you just like cheese, do that one. There's so many different organizations that you can join, or things that you can do. So try to get involved that way and make friends. Like if you live in the dorms, keep your door open, so that you meet people as they move in. Because as an international student, you will probably be there like a couple days before other students will. So get the bottom bunk and have your door open, get to know everyone. That's the benefit of getting there first. You get to choose where you're going to sleep. With that, I think too, like, walk under the clock tower as many times as you want, because there's a thing saying that if you walk under it, you're not going to graduate on time. But I think if you walk under it enough times, it's just going to blow up in your face and you're going to graduate on time, because that's what I did. So yeah, walk under it any chance you get, and it's going to just reverse the whole, what's the word
Curse,
for it?
yeah, myth, curse.
Yeah, the whole myth. It's just, it expels itself if you
So
just
walk
walk
under the tower.
Yeah, walk under the tower every chance you get.
That's an interesting piece of advice.
Yeah.
That is probably different than what I've heard, for sure. I got my master's degree here, and I was afraid to walk under it too. So that's very interesting.
I walked under it when I realized that I wasn't going to graduate on time. So I was like, well, I'm already screwed. So I walked under, and then I just continued to walk under, and all of a sudden I'm graduating on time. So it must have helped.
Yeah, see, there you go. The fear of not graduating was broken once you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, well, that's awesome. Well, Maiken, thank you again. You've been amazing. As always, we're obviously going to miss you here at UWL and within the Unibuddy organization for our international ambassadors. In a couple of weeks, we'll have our last one of the semester with our final Unibuddy Sway She. That'll be a great session as well. But once again, thanks, Maiken. We appreciate it. For everyone joining in, please keep tuning in for these great sessions that we have with our amazing international ambassadors. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.